good evening, everyone, and welcome to the trio table here at Struts Wings in Oxford tonight for the FNN Tuesday night high school football coaches show. Jim Jacobs, of course, that's me, your anchor for the evening, along with our play-by-play guy, James Hardy, and our head newspaper guy, Joe Medley, over to my immediate right, the Egg Roll King.
Yes, and they were very good tonight. Cooked just right.
Very nice.
Now, what'd you do?
So it's on the way. I'm doing some Fiesta quesadillas for tonight.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I had some fried dill pickles earlier. You can't ever go wrong with those things, but we'll do something to take home when we finish up here tonight at Struts. Of course, we've got a great show lined up for you tonight, but before we get into tonight's lineup, we'll go back and visit this past Friday night and what left its impressions on us. Mr. Medley, we'll start with you.
That guy who just walked in here, Jay Haynes, left a big impression on me Friday night, like a 476-yard impression.
Look, you don't get to use that one. That's too obvious for a newspaper guy, okay?
Well, that's the game I covered. This is something when we can talk to them about when they get on. But another thing that really impressed you is they got a really good quarterback too.
Yep.
And
Did you say 60 in the air?
I saw one. He launched 60 in the air accurately for a touchdown. And when you can do that and you can run the ball like that, that's hard to stop.
Here's how you know you have an impressive night is when you have 5 touchdowns and the yardage off of those touchdowns gets you over 300.
Yes.
Now, did I hear right? A 70-yarder was called back?
He got 17 on that play because of the spot of the foul.
Okay.
But
there was another one called back. Is that correct?
No, that's the play. It was a 70-yard run.
Yeah.
But it got called back to the spot of the foul, which was 17 yards from the line of scrimmage, and then penalized back.
Okay.
From that, so he got 17 yards on that play
instead of 70.
Right, instead of 70. and here's the thing: he finished 55 short of the record.
Right.
And so he did. They took away 53 of his yards on that play.
Wow.
So he came within – he still wouldn't have gotten the record, but he would have come within 2 yards.
Well, we get to ask Larry the obvious question here is, did you know and why didn't you let him get it?
Oh, he knew. and when he gets on here, he's going to tell you because I want Jamarius Haynes to be available next week and the week after that and the week after that and the week after that.
Absolutely. And you can't blame a coach for that because, we've all seen it. Even in the movies, Friday Night Lights, Booby went out there and, well, we all know what happened. All right, what your impressions from Friday night? You saw a very lopsided football game, but a team performed that maybe we didn't expect the performance from we got.
Well, I remember Miles Holcomb telling me a couple of days before we arrived at Southside Friday how his offensive line was he thought the strength of his team. They sure showed it Friday night, and I think a little unexpectedly so as far as just how much they were able to dominate a very athletic Lincoln squad that had gotten off to as good of a start. Well, actually the best start that they had under Matt Zedeker, and actually for Lincoln, that was their first 2-0 start since 2009. Just the way that Southside was able to run through literally the Lincoln Golden Bears defense and how they were able to dominate the line of scrimmage. If they can continue to get that type of performance consistently, especially on their offensive and defensive lines, Southside may be a factor in their region throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's chasing Moody in that region right now. From what they've been doing, I mean, they roughed up Alexandria pretty good, and they haven't played Leeds yet, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you got a well, there's a train wreck. You got a lot of big games left in that region to determine it, but it looks kind of wide open right now.
Absolutely, and I'm interested as far as Lincoln and Alexandria coming up.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a very big, a critical, almost a make or break type of ball game for both teams as far as their playoff chances.
Measuring stick game.
Exactly.
We're going to know a little bit more about both of those schools and their teams, regardless of what the scoreboard says when it's over, I think.
I was impressed. Alexandria put up 27 points on Moody.
Yep.
And Moody obviously put up 42, but that tells me that Alexandria is finding their way.
I think Coach Ginn's still trying to figure out what he's got and how to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be a much more dangerous team in 4 or 5 weeks than they are right now.
I think so too.
You know, I mean, that's just that DNA out there.
Mm-hmm. And he's got, you know, that we talked about last week. They got a guy up there, TK Downing. I noticed in the stats he ran the ball a little bit this week. So we may see a little more of him that way.
And I think the thing that stuck with me Friday, and it didn't really stick with me until earlier today when I got the release from the Alabama High School Athletic Association, is how close Jack Haynes is, our player of the year from last year, of putting his name atop the record book on a couple of key columns in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, he should get, if he has the year that statistically would be average for him.
Right.
it should happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it'll happen with some distance.
Yeah, and it's looking like, you know, based on what they did last week, and I don't know how much of that was matchup or just what they felt like they had to do, but you know, passed for 371 yards and 5 touchdowns. He keeps doing that every night. Then you know,
it'll be gone quick.
It'll be gone real quick.
So there you have it. Our thoughts from this past Friday night. Of course, there are 2 things that everybody's talking about this week. One's the weather for Friday night, and right now it looks wet.
Can I do my Span imitation? I don't have any suspenders, but yeah, 79% chance of rain, and the forecast is thunderstorms.
You may not have the suspenders, but you can roll up the sleeves, though.
You got the haircut.
Respect the polygon.
Yeah,
exactly.
Respect the polygon. There you go. But so far, unless the forecast changes, our greatest chance of rain and thunderstorms is Friday night. Is that correct?
Over the 10-day forecast, It's 79%. The next closest number was 58.
But keep in mind, we canceled a game back at the start of the season because we thought it was going to be like this. And, you know, we got snookered by the weather. We're not doing that this week for a couple of reasons. One, it's a huge game. We're going to be at Anniston's Lot Mosby Stadium and bring you the Jacksonville Golden Eagles in Anniston. And there you see it on your screen. That's the game everybody's talking about.
And as I just heard back from Rico White a little while ago, the answer is no. They are not moving the game to Thursday.
Friday is on. Probably for a lot of different reasons. One of them, it's homecoming at Anniston. That may be the administrative reason. I think the football reason is Anniston would probably like to play Jacksonville in the wet.
Yeah, there's a good football reason. I would think from a homecoming standpoint, you want to have the night where you have better weather, you know, just for the crowd purposes, because that's, you know, you think that's going to be your biggest crowd all year.
Yeah, but you got a lot of people probably coming into Anniston for homecoming. You know, it'd be hard to move the game to Thursday night, I would think.
Yeah, for a homecoming, they're going to come rain, snow, shine, whatever.
But, you know, there you see it on the screen. Friday, of course, we'll have the AHSAA Weekly to kick the afternoon off. We'll have a replay of the Southside Gadsden-Lincoln game. Kind of an interesting game in the sense that Lincoln took the opening kick, drove it down the field like they owned the place, went to the end zone, and then after that it was lights out by the Panthers.
Well, the interesting, not only as you mentioned, that opening touchdown drive that took about half of the first quarter clock, they actually got a stop on their first defensive possession, and then after a short punt, it was Katie bar the door for Southside from there.
It was like they flipped a light switch, and then it was all on. Then we'll have a replay, of course, of this show going into Friday night's game of the week, which will be Jacksonville at Anniston. Huge 4A Region 4 matchup. If Jacksonville's got region hopes, Joe, they got to win this ball game.
Well, you know, here's the thing. You can finish third in that region and still be top 5 in the state in Class 4A. But, yeah, obviously Anniston has to go on from here and play Handley later in the season. That might be the game of the year in terms of games that we cover around here. But you know, Jacksonville needs this probably because they obviously lost to Handley last week, so you know they got to draw even in this thing. Of course, let's remember last year that after the forfeits were factored in, all 4 of your playoff contenders from that region were 5-1 and 4-2, and that was all. Yeah, that was all tiebreaker.
This region can hit some chaos pretty quick.
It can. There's a lot of talent.
With the right thing that falls, it could hit some chaos pretty quick.
I got a question for Joe. How likely do you think we can see, as far as 3 teams at the top of the region tied with 1 loss?
Well, I mean, they could all have 1 loss to each other. In which case, we've become real familiar with that tiebreaker around here, haven't we? Where they start looking at the non-region games and records for defeated opponents, and of course you got to defeat those opponents. And Anniston's, if they were to go to Piedmont, let's say, and win that game up there,
that'd be huge.
That would be huge for them. So. But Handley's got some nice teams on their schedule too.
Yeah, well, that win over St. James won't hurt them.
Yeah, and Jacksonville. I mean, those first 4 games for them were.
Jake, let's pop the slide up and show the folks who are on the show tonight as we get set for our guest lineup. Coach Michael Easley to the immediate left there on your screen. The head coach of the Munford Lions is here. He's brought a couple of his guys with him, including quarterback Sylvester Smith. There's 2020 FNN Coach of the Year, our buddy Larry Strain from down in Handley, who brought along a guy who's probably didn't have to buy lunch anywhere this week. Jay Haynes, our player of the week. We've got Dexter Tolbert here, who we're going to enjoy speaking with. Dex Preps is all about recruiting and the kids across the state, and it's going to be really interesting to follow what he has to say tonight about what's going on around the state, who's hot on the rosters, and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of guys that do this kind of stuff, but Dex has done it quite a while, and it has a pretty good reputation for that in the area.
He has the most valuable iPad in all of Northeast Alabama. A lot of videos on there.
And of course, Joe Medley's here with us. Joe's not a guest anymore. I really need to take you off that slide. Anyway, we will take our first break of the evening, and when we come back, we will get to Coach Larry Strain of the Handley Tigers. They drove the distance tonight, and we're going to try to get them in here and get them out so they can get home after they have their meal. So we'll do that when we continue here from Struts Wings in Oxford. It's the Tuesday night high school football coaches show here on the Friday Night Network.
In Alabama, school spirit is in the air on Friday nights. At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're giving our customers the opportunity to show their school spirit every day with our new Spirit debit card. We've designed a unique card for every Calhoun County school that includes the school's logo. So every time you use the card, you're showing your school spirit. Come in and get your school spirit debit card today. We've got spirit at FNN Bank. Service, solutions, and strength. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Anniston Auto Trim and Body Shop is your best stop for full-service auto body repair, including all body work and professional painting. They also specialize in complete classic car restoration. When you have an accident, you want it back the way it was, and that's what you get with the team at Anniston Auto Trim. The same is true if you're ready to restore your dream car or a timeless family classic. They work with all major insurance companies and provide free estimates for every job. Come by today and see Stacy Jennings and the gang at Anniston Auto Trim and Body Shop, just up the hill off Quintard on Greenbrier Deer Road.
Family owned and operated for over 50 years, Miller Funeral Home is committed to providing families with the finest services for their loved ones, including our newest service, Aquamation. Aquamation is a gentle, respectful, and eco-friendly alternative to flame cremation. Miller Funeral Home is the only facility in the state of Alabama that offers the Aquamation service. Call us or visit our website today to learn more about how we can serve you and your loved ones.
And welcome back to Struts Wings. Our Tuesday night coaches show continues here on the Friday Night Network with the head man down at the Handley Tigers, number 2 in the state right now in Class 4A, Coach Larry Strain, coming off a big win at Jacksonville Friday night and one heck of an athletic performance.
Well, we had a young man that did very well for us Friday night, but now he'll be the first one to comment and tell you that there's a lot of help in that offense that he put on Friday. But it was a big game. You know, everybody knows, everybody's talking about, you know, this region that we're in, and you know, Jacksonville's a very talented team, as well as Anniston, Munford, and all the others. And you know, just it's good to get that first win.
Obviously, he has tremendous ability, but was there something you saw on film that said this could be a big night for him? Well,
and we knew that he was talented. We knew that he could, you know, run the football, and we knew that if we get him in space, he's got a chance to go the distance any particular time. You know, even back, into the 20 season there when we had Tay Meadows. Jay Haynes was there already. Matter of fact, last year he averaged 10 yards carry last year and last season, but he had the Tay Meadows kid, so we tried to utilize both of them. A lot of times Jay would play in the slot. Sometimes we'd put two backs in the backfield at the same time, trying to make people to honor both of them running backs there. But going into the game there, we're always trying to get him in space, whether it's by throwing the ball or running some type of screen. But, he is the one back that we have in our offense. And what I mean by that is it's kind of hard to be very diverse about who's going to carry the football, because when you only got one back there. And, of course, we got a quarterback that we feel like can run it too, but you really don't want to go in the game where you're a run-heavy quarterback team, not at this point in the season anyway. But, we attacked the big gap the other night against Jacksonville, and we felt like that they were giving us the big gap because they're playing a 3-3 stack. And anyway, they were coming off the C gap, sending two guys into the C gap. So it's naturally you should run big gap. That's what we started off doing. That's the first run that he run right up the big gap.
You made a comparison after that game. We're trying to get glowing quotes after a performance like that, and you did compare him to T.J. Yeldon, the former Alabama running back. Tell us about that.
Well, he just looks like him because he's most of my backs through the past have been small, shorter, squattier, thicker guys, and Jay is closer to 6'1", tall, longer type guy. I don't know how tall T.J. Yeldon is, but that's who he reminds me of, the way he runs the ball. He's not necessarily, the big bruiser that he runs up through the middle, but he's real quick about hitting his holes and his gaps in a hurry, and he exploits the defense when he can hit those holes so quick. So now he's at the linebacker depth or the secondary depth, and that's when he's the most dangerous, in my opinion. So that's kind of the comparison that I have to T.J. Yeldon. He kind of looks the same when he's running the ball and runs the same way that T.J. did. So that's just been kind of the comparison that we've compared him to, and what it reminded me of every time I've seen him run the ball.
Larry, 4A Region 4 is obviously incredibly tough, but the South as a whole, I think, is just – it's just stacked.
Well, I keep hearing everybody talk about Anniston, Jacksonville, us, all these folks up here. And, when they're going through that, I've been in this South 4A, for several years now, and I can name people like Jackson. Well, I know Viger's not in it now, but now you got Montgomery Catholic. You got Andalusia, who we had to deal with in 2016, and there's more. This week Orange beats Jackson, and they're 4A. You got so many other teams down there in the South that is each and every week it's going to be a war that anybody can come out of the South. 7
of the top 10 teams in the state are 4A South. There are 2 regions with 3 ranked teams.
Yeah, and look, and I hate to knock the 4A North, but, you go back and look at history. Whoever comes out of that South is just about going to win the state championship. I remember in 2016, and we went through that gauntlet of going through the 3 Mobile schools, week after week after week that we had to travel to Mobile. And, here I am. I'd never won a state championship in football at that time. I'd won some in basketball. And I remember that year was going to Auburn, and Coach Steve Salvarez called me in his office on the week after you win the semifinal games. Of course, you come in for your TV and radio interviews, and he commented 2 things that he wanted to talk to me about. One, I was not going to spend a night. I'd played in 2 Super Sixes at the time twice, and we spent the night. And I was ready to change something up because we came runner-up both times. And I'd told him previously in the previous meeting we were not spending the night because, not 30, 45-minute drive,
right?
For us to Auburn. So we're not going to spend the night. And then I was worried about the game. He kept holding me down there, and he kept commenting to me. He says, "Look, Coach, I need 2 things from you." I said, "What's that?" I said, "I need 2 things." I said, "I need you to spend the night." I said, "What's it going to take me to talk to you and spend a night in the hotel?" I said, "Coach, I've not won a state championship, and I spent the night both times, and I had problems both times that I spent the night. The kids, first time you get them off." And he said, "Coach, the second thing is, I don't want you to embarrass the North." I said, "What?" I said, "What do you mean I don't want you to embarrass the North?" I said, "Coach, I ain't won a state championship. I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about winning."
I'm worried about embarrassing me.
That's exactly right. He said, "Coach, I think you'll be all right." I said, "Coach, I can't take nothing for granted. I said, don't be telling me this stuff on Saturday after I won in the semifinal game.
You could have told him you didn't want to stay overnight because all the traveling you've already done in that playoff.
You're exactly right.
Because I'm telling you, as long as it is from Handley up to here, it's 3 times longer than Mobile, isn't it?
That Mobile trip, I tell you, that is tough. There's nothing after you get past Greenville. There's the pine trees.
Well, the thing about going to Mobile is you think you're there, and an hour and a half later you get there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. But anyway.
Handicap the region. I mean, you've played Jacksonville now. I know you've seen Anniston, Munford, Cleburne County. White Plains is in there.
Not necessarily my opinion, because I don't like for me to have opinions about the own region that I got to go through. Does that make sense?
Of course it does.
I just don't like having opinions. But everybody that keeps telling me it's a top heavy region, it's a 3-team region. Well, you got to go through some of these other schools. Anything can happen to you on any given night, any Friday night. And a lot of people, we're just now starting region play, so it depends on who follows who. And, I've really not got to see Anniston on film, even though I know kind of what Anniston, is and because what they had returning from last year. I know that. I know that them and Jacksonville obviously is one of the front runners. I know that Jacksonville, extremely talented, got the quarterback, the Ogles kid that's super. But when you look at Anniston, you just look at the talent they have as far as athletically, from how big they are in the front line to the folks, the skilled folks that can run. And that all the other region teams in it has got a chance, in my opinion. Somebody's got to come in 3 and 4. And none of this stuff it's only week 1. Ain't nothing decided right now. We could be the bottom seed in this thing. We could be all the way at the bottom. You never know, and it really depends on who is playing well at the right time. And I think that's the key to football season. And I've done this before, because very rarely in the past have I been the 1 seed going into the playoffs. The team that is playing the best when it gets to week 1 in the playoffs is the team that's going to be the most successful. So I think every team in our region has a chance, but it's about getting your kids ready to play at the right time.
But you do want to play at home week 1, don't you?
You do want to play at week 1. And look, I week 1, you want to play there at home. But this year in this region, I have not researched any of this. It's amazing how many people will call me and tell me, well, you need to be so-and-so. Some years you need to be the 2 seed. Some years you need to be the 3 seed. Well, this year in our region, you need to be the 1 seed. The reason why you need to be the 1 seed, which I know you talk about how strong everybody is in the South, but that you avoid now Montgomery Catholic, providing that they are the 1, and you avoid Andalusia into the semifinals. They have to play each other first if you're the 1 seed in our region. Now, I haven't looked at it. That's what everybody's telling me. But there's some other good 4A teams out there other than just them 2 teams.
Absolutely.
One good piece of news and all that, Region 4 crosses with Region 3 this year. And Region 3 is the one region in the South that does not have any ranked teams at the moment. But after that, you got to play the Region 1s and 2s.
Right. You're going to get to play the 2s and the 3s or, from one of the other regions. And but it's always a challenge when you get there. And, you can always let somebody slip up and beat you that you didn't think on or didn't count. And so you better take it 1 game at a time.
Well, tell us about the young men that Jay brought with him tonight.
Well, Jay has brought Jamiroquai Lewis, which is our jerseys haven't come in yet. I can't tell you what jersey he was 21 last year, and according on if he's wearing red or white, but he's supposed to be number 1 this time. And some games he gets to wear 1, sometimes he has to wear 21. But Jamiroquai is an extremely talented young man, extremely fast young man that plays in the slot for us. He plays what we call the H, and so he is the guy that caught long touchdown pass late in the game there. He's a matchup problem when, he's at the wideout spot. But what he's really best at, in my opinion, is he's a very good defensive back, and he plays corner for us. And so that's the one young man. The other guy is one of my inside linebackers, and what we call the sniffer back is in Aiden Robinson that is number 6. He, if we're in the I, he's the one that is really at the F, and Jay's at the H. And then, of course, he plays inside linebacker for us as well.
Great.
When I saw him wearing 21 on that deep ball Friday night, I thought of Cliff Branch. Remember Cliff
Yeah,
Branch?
I do. I remember. Hey, now look, you can't ask them guys about who Cliff Branch is because none of them know who that guy is now.
Give them something to Google on the way home.
That's exactly right.
Speaking of that long ball, it looked to me from the sideline, it went about 60 yards in the air accurately. And when you have a quarterback who can do that on top of the running game that you have, how hard does that make you
Well,
stop?
I hope that's going to be a benefit to us down the road to be able to throw. We got Cannon Kyles at quarterback that is a very talented young man. As a matter of fact, we threw the ball the other night against Jacksonville, first play, and I knew Cannon had the arm strength to get it down there. But if you notice on that particular play, he slid right as he went to throw the ball. So, of course, the ball goes way up in the air. But Cannon is very talented. He's thrown several in the 60 range. And I tell you a funny story about Cannon. I get the players can tell you, I get so aggravated at our kicking teams, especially when you got your kick receiving team over there and we're practicing it. And so your kicker can't kick the ball deep enough. So I'll always say, Cannon, come throw the ball down there. And so Cannon gets back there, behind the 40, and he throws it the other end of the field. And he throws it through the goalpost all the way out through the backside of the end zone. So now I'm fussing at Cannon. But anyway, he's got great arm strength.
You'll never be as aggravated at your kicking teams as Brian Kelly is right now.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Well, Coach, go get you some wings.
All right, sounds great. I sure appreciate y'all having us tonight.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Joe.
We're going to get the player of the week up here. Jay Haynes joins us along with some of his teammates when we continue here on the Tuesday night high school football coaches show from Struts.
The tire, arguably the most important part of a car. Without it, we could not stop, we could not go, we couldn't drive at all. They come in all sizes, brands, treads, prices, and ratings. How do you know which is the right tire for you? Thankfully, there's Cobb Automotive, and they have been answering this question since 1981. With a large selection of brands and sizes in stock, you are sure to get the right tire for the right price. Cobb Automotive, located on Highway 21 across from Walmart in Oxford, and 2001 Quintard Avenue in Anniston.
Serving Calhoun County for over 30 years, Crawford Office Supply offers selection, convenience, and low prices. Choose from a wide variety of office furnishings featured in their huge showroom. With savings of 50 to 70% off scratch and dent items. You'll find it all from pens and paper to janitorial supplies at Crawford Office Supply, including on-site printing, all backed up by unmatched personal service and free delivery to local business. Crawford Office Supply, 301 South Layton Avenue in Anniston. Remember, buy local, it matters.
In Alabama, school spirit is in the air on Friday nights. At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're giving our customers the opportunity to show their school spirit every day with our new Spirit debit card. We've designed a unique card for every Calhoun County school that includes the school's logo. So every time you use the card, you're showing your school spirit. Come in and get your school spirit debit card today. We've got spirit at FNN Bank. Service, solutions, and strength. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Your neighborhood Grub Mart is your one-stop shop for everything you need when you're on the go. Grub Mart features the best prices on Coke and Pepsi products and is the home to the 99-cent bag of ice every day. And Grub Mart is your exclusive home for the popcorn bucket. Purchase yours for only $5.99, then bring it for free refills throughout the year. And save every day with your Grub Mart Super Saver card. When you're on the go, it's good to know Grub Mart has everything you need. Gas, diesel, and delicious Oleo donuts. In business over 78 years, visit your local Grub Mart today.
And welcome back to the Tuesday night football coaches show, live from Struts Wings in Oxford on the Friday Night Network. Jim Jacobs, Joe Medley, and our player of the week, Jay Haynes from the Handley Tigers. How many yards did you run for Friday night, young man?
476.
A lot. You know, Joe, one of the comparisons I like to put out there for people to think about is 476 yards is almost 5 trips up and down a football field. Now, you think about just going and walking that.
Well, if it's a 1,000-yard season, that's almost half a season in one game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say it's a 1,000-yard season for you unless you get hurt. It's pretty sure, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How tired were you?
I was tired second half. I was good until the next morning.
Did you sleep late Saturday?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A little time in the ice tub?
Yes, sir.
Jay, when did you know it was going to be a special night?
After I went down for the second play, after I scored for it was 80-yard touchdown, I knew it was going to be a good night. Everybody was hyped up, so I knew that the line was going to block for me. Everybody was ready to block. It was a heated game. Everybody was
a lot
ready.
On the line for both teams.
Yes, sir.
Big game for both of you.
Was how aware were you all during the game of how close you were getting to a record, and what was the talk about that on the sideline, if anything?
So, they didn't start telling me that I was getting close until, I hit, 350 yards. And that was in, the third quarter. So then after that, they kept telling me every time we scored or came out the field, they was like, you getting closer and closer. And then Coach Strain didn't want to leave me in because he didn't want to risk me getting injured. But then he was just letting me in because, it's a big record. It's something big. So he let me back in.
It just didn't quite get there. But, hey, number 2 on that list, young man's not a bad place to be. Now, talk to us a little bit about your dad. I understand he was a pretty good football player in his day at Wadley.
He was a good running back. We always, every time we go home, we talk about each other. I'm gonna beat his records and everything. But he got I think he still got an interception record. He had a bunch of interceptions. He played a lot of defense. He also played running back. But, it's always a competition every time. After every game, it's a competition versus me and him. It's I don't think you're going to have more yards than me in your career. It's always a competition.
Timothy Haynes,
yes,
and All-State twice there at Wadley in the early 2000s. If he's starting at Wadley, how'd they let you get away to Handley?
Because, he originally went to Handley before he went to high school. So when he went to high school, he ended up going to Wadley his 9th grade year and finished out.
Jay, obviously Friday night was a very, very special night for you, and you won't have many of those in a career. But is there any one thing about Friday night that you think you'll remember 20 years from now?
Yes, sir. Definitely. The amount of yards that I had. It's crazy. Because, I know, when I came over, I thought I was 200 yards.
Yeah.
But then he told me, he said, you're at the 400-yard mark. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
I hope somebody in Handley's making you a 473 T-shirt.
Well, you and to your credit, after the game, we're trying to get you to say things about yourself, and you were saying all kinds of things about your offensive line and your team around you. Talk about what they did to help make all that happen.
Man, it was they were so into the game. It's to the point where you just wanted to run the ball because after a timeout comes or anything, you got the offensive line coming up saying, do it again, do it again, do it again. He's just we got the block, we got it, just give it to him. So once the line once everybody into the game, also the receivers want the same thing. Everybody just wanted the block. So once everybody just keying on the same thing, it's hard to stop a team.
Wow.
Mr. Dexter sitting over there, and after a performance like that, everybody is going to talk about, well, what's this guy's next level prospects looking like? What's the status of that right now?
I got a couple schools looking at me. I know UAB for a fact is looking at me. I talked to Coach Harrison from Auburn. I talked to Coach Kirby from Georgia. I got in touch with the Alabama's running back coach, and a couple other schools. A couple of schools follow me on Twitter and stuff like that. They keeping in touch with me.
What do you think of of you being compared to T.J. Yeldon?
It's a good.
That's a lot to live up to, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Is that why you wear number 4? Is there?
The reason I wear number 4 is because my father wear number 4.
There you go.
Okay.
That's a much better reason. Keep it all in the family.
Yes, sir.
Talk about your teammates that came up with you tonight. Of course, you had a hand in picking who got to come with you for the award tonight. Tell us a little bit about your teammates that came with you.
Well, you got
in fact, wave them on over here so we can get them on screen so everybody can see them. Y'all come on over here real quick and slide in. And, I know there's mama and daddies out there that want to see everybody. So let's see if we can get them all in here for just a couple of minutes.
You want me to vacate and let him talk?
Huh?
You want me to vacate and let him talk?
You can stay put.
Okay. All right.
You can stay put, and we'll just split them and let them come in on each side so they're in the camera. And, Kirby, if you can get us taken care of here where the guys are seen. And, Jay can can talk about his teammates a little bit and why they're special to, be here with him.
All right.
You can go ahead and do that now.
All right. So, Jamiroquai is your starter.
Come on, guys. Come on in
receiver.
here. One of you slide in here, and one of you come over here by Joe. Yeah.
Jamiroquai is your slot receiver. He's the guy that you can get the ball to in space. He's going to make a lot of good things happen. You got Aiden. He's your middle linebacker and your fullback. He's one of the best blocking guys. He's got a lot of intelligence. You can always depend on Aiden to help the team.
Well, Jay, I wrote Friday night, I think, or Saturday morning, that there are very few Friday nights where it's just dead on obvious who the player of the week has to be. And you delivered that kind of night for us this past Friday night. So on behalf of all of our folks at FNN, it's my pleasure to present you with the Crystal Award for FNN's Player of the Week. And congratulations on a historic night.
Thank you.
All right, well, guys, you got a lot left to do and probably got some wings waiting on you, so we're going to turn you loose, and when we come back, we'll get Coach Michael Easley in from the Munford Lions. Sylvester Smith is here along with another player, and we'll talk to all of them coming up here in just a couple of minutes when we come back to Struts Wings in Oxford here on the Friday Night Network.
Your neighborhood Grub Mart is your one-stop shop for everything you need when you're on the go. Grub Mart features the best prices on Coke and Pepsi products and is the home to the 99-cent bag of ice every day. And Grub Mart is your exclusive home for the popcorn bucket. Purchase yours for only $5.99, then bring it for free refills throughout the year. And save every day with your Grub Mart Super Saver card. When you're on the go, it's good to know Grub Mart has everything you need. Gas, diesel, and delicious Oleo donuts. In business over 78 years, visit your local Grub Mart today.
The tire, arguably the most important part of a car. Without it, we could not stop, we could not go, we couldn't drive at all. They come in all sizes, brands, treads, prices, and ratings. How do you know which is the right tire for you? Thankfully, there's Cobb Automotive, and they have been answering this question since 1981. With a large selection of brands and sizes in stock, you are sure to get the right tire for the right price. Cobb Automotive, located on Highway 21 across from Walmart in Oxford, and 2001 Quintard Avenue in Anniston.
Serving Calhoun County for over 30 years, Crawford Office Supply offers selection, convenience, and low prices. Choose from a wide variety of office furnishings featured in their huge showroom. With savings of 50 to 70% off scratch and dent items. You'll find it all from pens and paper to janitorial supplies at Crawford Office Supply, including on-site printing, all backed up by unmatched personal service and free delivery to local business. Crawford Office Supply, 301 South Layton Avenue in Anniston. Remember, buy local, it matters.
At Struts Tuesday night coaches show on the Friday Night Network. Jim Jacobs, James Hardy, and to my left, the head football coach of the mighty Munford Lions, Coach Michael Easley. You can tell it with that red and that big white M anywhere. Welcome to the show, Coach. Good to see you.
Glad to be here.
You want to talk a little bit about your season so far? I mean, it's been interesting, I think.
It has been. You know, we started off with a in-county game that I was glad to kind of get back on the schedule with Childersburg.
Right.
Had a good battle with them. Beat them 28-14 the first week of the year, week 0. But we had a kickoff return to open up the second half that kind of was the difference in the game. But Johnny's doing a good job with that bunch. Of course, we had an off week. Wasn't the original design. Originally, I had somebody scheduled in week 1, and they backed out on me, and then had to scramble and ended up having to fill it week 5. So we were off the next week, which may have been a blessing in disguise because I had several guys coming down with COVID, a few injuries. So we were off, and then had Anniston roll into town last week, and our kids, fought their tails off. But that's a really good team, really talented team, just speed all over the field. But we were happy after the game. I mean, I know I told the reporter that talked to me after the game, I said, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, and anybody that reads this probably going to think I'm crazy, but we're proud of our kids because they fought their butt off all game long. I mean, it's one of those games where, they just outran us at times, and every time they did, they scored a touchdown.
You told me when I was down there with the Kono Ice people the day we came and treated the kids that you guys are awful young and that you've got a lot of young men that you're trying to get into football that haven't played organized football.
Right,
And that's tough. Talk about that just a little bit.
It is. We've got – first off, we're putting several ninth graders on the field this year, and we like our ninth grade bunch, but, that's never ideal.
Right.
So we've got several ninth graders. There's at times you look out there and we got 3 ninth graders on the D-line, and that's never that's never what you want going in. But and then we've got some other guys that just hasn't played football before, or maybe only played as a 7th grader and hadn't played since middle school or something like that. And they're playing and starting for us. So there's just a lot of inexperience. Even on our special teams, we got guys out there that they've never really seen a Friday night game, on the field. And so, it's just it's a learning. I have to remind myself every day, hey, we got some guys that's learning how to play football, learning how to play varsity football. And the other night was the perfect example. We're they're punting the ball to us, and it was a short punt. And, we're from the sidelines, we're yelling, Peter, 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 to tell everybody to get away. Well, the problem is the kid they're telling that to's never played football before. And I looked over at 2 of the coaches and said, Coach, he doesn't know what that means. And so it's a learning experience for us, too, as coaches sometimes when you've got kids that has never played before or haven't probably have never played varsity football. You're having to teach some things that sometimes kind of just come natural every year. So, again, you live and learn. And as coaches, we're having to learn some things about coaching the inexperienced team because really none of us has coached one this inexperienced.
So as far as this year's team, where have you seen the most improvement as far as from your preseason practice up to now?
I think up front, we have 3 – let's see, we have 4 juniors starting on the offensive line. Only 1 has started before. I see them getting better every week. We still got a lot of room for improvement, but we also have a freshman starting there. And I'm seeing every day, I'm seeing those guys do something that, maybe they weren't doing quite as good the week before. But I've seen some improvement there. And I know, we only scored 7 points last week. Somebody might say, well, again, you're crazy. But we're seeing it in practice. And we're seeing, I look at it Friday night, and unless you watched the game and paid attention to it, you probably wouldn't know. But, they probably averaged about 290 to 300 up front. And we don't average anywhere close to that. We were probably 210, 220, somewhere in there. And our guys that were much smaller were fighting their tails off and every play. And, that's and at times blocking them. And so I'm seeing that there. There's some stuff on defense on the back end. I'm seeing some young guys. We got some guys playing at linebacker, inside linebacker, and outside linebacker that every week I'm seeing a little bit, their run fits are a little bit better. Their reactions are a little bit faster. They'll make a play. They'll come up and make a play that, hey, they weren't making 2 weeks ago. So, I would say offensive line and then defensively the second level, the inside backers and outside backers.
So as far as this past week with Anniston, as far as from an opposing coach's perspective, what impressed you about Anniston the most?
Their speed. I'm telling you, I was telling people this. I was just telling Coach Strain a while ago, they didn't give the ball to anybody that couldn't run. And everybody they handed the ball to looked like they were shot out of a cannon. And it's all over the field. You've got, all the receivers can run. Every back they gave the ball to, the receivers they ran, they got the ball to. Everybody could run. Quarterback could run. Everybody could run. And so, sometimes you can play matchups against somebody that's got 1 guy that can really run or maybe 2. But when they're putting 6 skill guys out there that can run, that kind of, that can kind of mess with your matchups. And it's like I was telling, somebody else, when you're playing a team that's got that much speed, you can't take 1 misstep. You can't take 1 bad angle, or it's going to be a touchdown. And that's what happened to us several times. And they just, we might have 1 bad angle that we make that play in practice. We made that play against Childersburg, against Anniston. It was a touchdown.
If you can get in to the postseason with this bunch, I mean, obviously you got a lot of time between now and November to get better. Mm-hmm. But coming out of this region and having played teams by then like Jacksonville and Anniston and Handley, you can make some noise from that 3rd or 4th spot.
Yeah, definitely. That's I told the kids that the other night. I said, first off, we want to be a playoff team. And this was after the game. I said, we want to be a playoff team, but the one thing I can promise you is we won't play if we can get the playoffs, we won't play anybody more talented than that team we just played. And so, learn from the mistakes, learn from the bad angles or the misfits or the missteps here. Learn from that and realize when I'm facing a team, when I'm going to get somebody that's that fast and that explosive, I can't have that one misstep or it turns into 6. So, I mean, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything that we could see in the playoffs that we're not going to see in our region, and even our non-region games. You know, we got Cherokee County non-region. Of course, they've been in our region the last 2 years, but I won't be surprised if they come out of the North in 4A. I mean, they've got.
Yep.
I watched them. I
They're
watched
really
them on TV.
good. They're really good.
I watched them play Piedmont on TV, and so I just don't see anything that. And that's no disrespect to anybody in 4A, but there's nothing that we're going to see in the playoffs that we haven't already seen in our region. So it's like I told the kids before the season, and I even said it at me today. You know, with the top, you know, the top of our region is stacked. It's extremely strong. Anniston and Handley and Jacksonville. You don't have to win every game to get in the playoffs. You just have to win the right ones. So, and that's where we're at right now. Let's go win the right ones. Let's get in the playoffs, and then everybody's got the same record.
Absolutely. You have, in your coaching career, you've obviously seen a lot of special football players. Where does Sylvester Smith stack up in all that?
You know, and Al asked me that during preseason, and it's kind of an unfair question because that's what I was telling him, because he tried to compare him with Trey. We're talking about Trey Smith, you know, playing in the NFL now. I said it's really an unfair question because, you know, just times are different. That was 9 years ago, and Sylvester, though, is special. He's got his instincts, and that's not something, you know, you see football players or any sport, this guys that can run, or they can, you know, maybe they've got great size, maybe they've got great agility. Sometimes they don't have the instincts. His football instincts are very good, and his football smarts are very good. You know, he watches a lot of film. He was sitting there on the field the other night calling out. We were talking about it a while ago. He's calling out plays before they even run it. Very, you know, I try not to compare. I like to compare teams. I don't like to compare individual players as much. But he's a special one. He really is. Just football instincts, athletic ability, just his God-given talent. You know, he's a good one.
Absolutely. Well, tell us who you brought with him tonight.
I did. I brought Cam Strickland with us. He started for us last year, and he's a senior also. Started for us last year and this year at receiver and outside linebacker. And, of course, Sylvester, who started for us really since the 9th grade, about week 4 of 9th grade year. So 2 senior starters that's been with me since 9th grade.
What do they mean to this team?
Well, I mean, you know, and Sylvester knows this. I'm not saying anything that he doesn't know. You know, kids look up to him, especially young kids. You know, you see younger kids in the school, and it's like, you know, we've talked about it before. You know, he wants to be a leader. He wants to be a leader. He's trying to be a vocal leader. But I've told him, like, even when you're not being a vocal leader, you got to be a leader just by example, because all these young kids are looking at you. And it's just, I mean, you're a SEC commit, you're a Tennessee commit, and, you know, you're really a 4-year starter for us. You've been an all-state player while you're here. People are going to look at you. Whether you like it or not, people are going to look at you. So, I mean, you know, everybody in Munford knows who he is. I mean, talking about the school. So it's a big deal. I mean, it's important for him, and he's done this, but it's important for him also to be a good role model and be in the hallways and to be, you know, be the right person in the hallways and do the right thing and get over there to the elementary school and meet and greet, you know, kids when they're getting out of cars and stuff like that. Everybody, you know, everybody's going to know him. He needs to represent this team the right way, and he's done that for us.
Coach, you go to Talladega Friday night to play in a non-region matchup, but as we've talked about,
it's region.
Yeah, that's right. It is a region game. You go to Talladega and play in a region game Friday night. Obviously, this is one you need.
We do. I told the kids the other night, you know, we talk about the playoffs, and that's because that's our goal, regardless of how. You know, we're never going to make excuses. Our goal is to get in the playoffs. But if we want to get in the car, Friday night starts. You know, the next region game could put us in the driver's seat. The next region game could, you know, get us on that road. But it starts Friday night. And I told him today, you know, we didn't have the greatest practice in the world today, but I told him, I said, you know, you should come out and practice like a playoff team right now. You want to get in the playoffs. Let's treat this game like a playoffs, because that's what it is for us. So this is how we need to practice. That's the mentality we need to take going in.
Your next 2 weeks are huge.
They are huge. You know,
I mean, it's going to go a long way in determining who's watching in November and who's playing.
That's exactly right. You know, you would think on paper right now, Handley and Anniston are in the driver's seats for the 1-2 spot. So, you know, after that, of course, Jacksonville's still a really, really good team. You know, and I know I talked to Coach Smith Saturday, and, you know, he told me how good Handley was, and so – but I know Jacksonville's also still a really good team, so it's a really, really tough region, and we knew that coming in. But this is it. I mean, this is where we are. This is our next game. This is the chance to put us in the. It's like I said, put us in the car. You know, If we win this one, we're in the car. We win the next one, we're in the driver's seat. We win the next one, we're probably in. And I've told them before the season, we've got to get to 3.
Now, I can't have anybody from Munford here without asking about Lincoln. You probably hate that rivalry.
Well, I like it. I like it for the community, you know, and we've talked about this, talked about it at media days, and we've talked, me and Coach Zetter's talked about it a little bit, and me and my administration, Lincoln's growing, and their community and their
the rivalry today is not what it was 10 or 15 years ago.
It's not. It still means something to the community, but as
especially
far as,
the old timers.
Absolutely. But as far as like when you start, comparing, you're talking, indoor practice facility and turf and 80 players and it's just they're growing. I don't think they will be a 6A the next count in a year, but probably in 4 years. 2 counts later, they're probably going to be a 6A. I know their school's busting at the seams. They could probably bring in mobile trailers and still not have enough room right now. But yeah, it's growing. I think somebody gave me a number, and it was unreal how many houses have been built in the last 2 years in the Lincoln city limits.
Is there any chance the 2 won't ever play? You think?
You would think. I'll put it this way: that's not the plan. But at the same time, if they keep growing and they're as big as Oxford, it may be something where we have to make it into a jamboree game or something because at the same time, you want it to be fair to your kids.
Sure.
And if you got it always depends on what you got coming, and you want it to be fair to the kids because at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants to compare us to.
And I think what you're trying to say is it gets to a point when there's so much separation to where it doesn't behoove either side to play.
Right.
And I mean that's that's the whole point.
Yeah, and that's so hope not, but we, me and my principals even talked about it some. We kind of see where they're headed and just the sheer numbers that they have, and I don't even think Coach Zetterker can dress all of his players on Friday nights because he doesn't have enough jerseys. But
that's a good problem to have, isn't it, Coach?
It is. It is. Yeah, it is. So, but I do appreciate the rivalry for the community because those people in the community really enjoy it. But yeah, they're growing, and like I said, we think they're going to be 6A before long.
Hey, thanks for coming out tonight.
Yes, sir.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to get Sylvester Smith and his teammate over here and chat with them just a couple of minutes right after the break here on the Friday Night Network.
In Alabama, school spirit is in the air on Friday nights. At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're giving our customers the opportunity to show their school spirit every day with our new Spirit debit card. We've designed a unique card for every Calhoun County school that includes the school's logo. So every time you use the card, you're showing your school spirit. Come in and get your school spirit debit card today. We've got spirit at FNN Bank. Service, solutions, and strength. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Griffin Laser Engraving in Lincoln is your authorized local dealer for personalized Yeti products. Get your Yeti customized for your team, a business, or a special event. Your color, graphics, even photos. At Griffin Laser Engraving, we make it the way you want it. Order just one or hundreds, and you'll find a full line of Yeti coolers and accessories on hand, even the hard-to-find items. Nationally recognized, but right here at home in Lincoln for quality awards, trophies, powder coating, and personalized Yeti items, Griffin Laser Engraving.
Family owned and operated for over 50 years, Miller Funeral Home is committed to providing families with the finest services for their loved ones, including our newest service, Aquamation. Aquamation is a gentle, respectful, and eco-friendly alternative to flame cremation. Miller Funeral Home is the only facility in the state of Alabama that offers the Aquamation service. Call us or visit our website today to learn more about how we can serve you and your loved ones.
Your neighborhood Grub Mart is your one-stop shop for everything you need when you're on the go. Grub Mart features the best prices on Coke and Pepsi products and is the home to the 99-cent bag of ice every day. And Grub Mart is your exclusive home for the popcorn bucket. Purchase yours for only $5.99, then bring it for free refills throughout the year. And save every day with your Grub Mart Super Saver card. When you're on the go, it's good to know Grub Mart has everything you need. Gas, diesel, and delicious Oleo donuts. In business over 78 years, visit your local Grub Mart today.
And welcome back to the Tuesday night high school football coaches show. We are live at Struts Wings in Oxford tonight, the best wings in the world. They also do some other cool stuff too, like hamburgers and sliders, and they do egg rolls, Joe Medley's favorite, chicken tenders, you name it, they do it. In fact, we'll ask the guys on each side of me what they had tonight, starting with Cam Strickland from the Munford Lions. What was on your menu, young man?
I had 10-piece wings, 5 teriyaki, and 5 honey barbecue.
Yeah, were they good?
They were delicious.
Absolutely. And, of course, to my immediate left, everybody's number 11, Sylvester Smith. What was on your menu tonight, young man?
I had 10-piece sweet heat.
10-piece sweet heat?
Yes,
I assume it was good as well?
It was.
Now, did you do boned or boneless?
Boneless.
Boneless, okay. All right, good deal. These guys, of course, represent Coach Easley's Munford Lions, and they have a big game on the road this Friday night at Talladega. And, of course, you're getting tons of attention because of your commitment to Tennessee in the SEC next year after you finish football at Munford. You know, Sylvester, you and I have talked about this when I was down to do the interview a couple of weeks ago, but for people that don't know, talk a little bit about what the recruiting process is like for a young man like yourself.
You know, starting off in my sophomore year when they all got started, it was fun and it was pretty cool. You know, it was something that every 15, 16-year-old dream who played football, you know, to go through recruitment. And as you get older, you know, going to my senior year, you know, it kind of got serious. The serious part of it, you have to really sit down and check off things at each college, you know, make the decision. You know, it's not a decision that should be taken lightly. You know, it's a hard decision. So it was fun, but, you know, it got serious real quick.
Did it ever get bothersome for you?
And
is it still bothersome for you?
At some points, you know, it gets tough, you know, but I got my mom and my siblings, they kind of walked through it with me, you know, kept my head all together, you know, it made it easy for me to make the decision.
Right.
But as of right now, no, sir, it's not.
So, and you're set. You're going to Tennessee,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Okay. How many visits did you take?
I've been around a little bit of everywhere. I've been to Florida State, UCF, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, LSU. I'd have been, you know, around to a lot of places.
Man, I'd like to have been his travel agent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you have to drive to all of these? I mean, how does that work for folks that may not know?
You know, so your senior year, you get 5 official visits,
right?
Know, and they're paid for. I haven't took any of mine, but most of, you know, me and Mom flew out to like the further ones we flew out, and then the closer ones like we drove to.
Well, let's see. I'd go to USC if I had one left. That's Southern Cal. That's good beach stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You might want to go to Miami, you know.
That's another one.
If you like snow, you can go up to Boston College.
Yeah, I like snow.
I didn't think you would. All right, guys, let's talk about your season a little bit. You start off with a big win with Childersburg, and then, of course, you ran into the Anniston freight train here the other day. And, you know, Coach Easley talked about how pleased he was with the team's performance, you know, against a really quality football team in Anniston. How did you guys leave the game? Cam, you go first.
I think, well, the first half of our game, I was really proud of our playing, but then more towards the end of the game, after halftime, started getting some little bit of injuries and having to put younger guys in, which our team is young.
Very young.
Yeah. But all in all, I think my performance was okay. I could have had a better game, though.
What about it, Sylvester?
You know, I look satisfied on some points of the game, you know. Not having a really big team, you know, having guys you can put in 5 or 6 more guys who we could have rotated in, you know, it's a different outcome. I say we had a bunch of guys who having to play early, you know, they're playing young. Everybody fought the whole entire night, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I live satisfied. There was a bunch of mistakes that could have been corrected, you know, more minimal mistakes. You know, I had a mistake. I had a big fumble in the second, would have tied it up 7-7. You know, we had a bunch of mistakes, but I was satisfied. Everybody played hard. That's all you can ask for.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about the next 2 weeks because I think they're going to go a long way to determine whether or not you guys are playing or watching in November. It starts Friday night with Talladega. Sylvester, what do you know about the Tigers?
They're going to be a good ball team. You know, Bill Smith, he was coach at Munford.
Right.
I was in 8th grade. You know, I played with him a little bit in 8th grade, got moved up to varsity. So he's a tough coach. You know, he's going to have a good ball team to come and play. We just have to come play.
I understand the quarterback, Cam, is pretty quick.
Yes, sir, he is. I've watched a little bit of film on him. He's just an athlete. Their running back is also pretty good as well. I think if we just come out there and just hit him in the mouth, it'll come out a good outcome for us.
Well, you know, you would think that you guys in Talladega being as close as you are to one another, that's kind of a big or could be a big rivalry game. Maybe, you know, with you both being in the same region now, more so than the Lincoln matchup. But what do you guys think about that? I mean, you grew up knowing that Lincoln was Munford's rival. Talk about playing Talladega and what that means to you guys.
You know, when I first got here, I got to Munford in 6th grade. And getting here, everybody was telling me, like, hey, Lincoln versus Munford, you know, that's the rivalry. But as I got to playing against Talladega, I told one of my coaches today, Talladega is more of a rivalry to me than Lincoln. So, you know, it's always fun playing those guys. I mean, I know most of them. So I think it'll be a good game, a good rivalry game.
Cam?
Well, for me, this week it'll put us in a good position for playoffs. This right now, for me, I'm not looking at it as a rivalry or anything. It's another game that's really important to us, like a playoff week game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, guys, thanks a lot for coming up. Good luck Friday night when you travel down to Mary Dumas Stadium to take on the Tigers. And best of luck to Munford. We'll see you guys hopefully in a couple of weeks when Cleveland County comes to town. Game of the week should be there.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sir.
All right, guys, we're going to take another break. When we come back, the show takes a turn toward recruiting as Dexter Tolbert joins us. He's the man with the iPad everybody wants to see. It's Dex Preps, and he is next as Joe Medley returns right here on the Friday Night High School Football Coaches Show on Tuesday here at Struts.
In Alabama, school spirit is in the air on Friday nights. At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're giving our customers the opportunity to show their school spirit every day with our new Spirit debit card. We've designed a unique card for every Calhoun County school that includes the school's logo. So every time you use the card, you're showing your school spirit. Come in and get your school spirit debit card today. We've got spirit at FNN Bank. Service, solutions, and strength. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Aniston Auto Trim and Body Shop is your best stop for full-service auto body repair, including all body work and professional painting. They also specialize in complete classic car restoration. When you have an accident, you want it back the way it was, and that's what you get with the team at Aniston Auto Trim. The same is true if you're ready to restore your dream car or a timeless family classic. They work with all major insurance companies and provide free estimates for every job. Come by today and see Stacy Jennings and the gang at Aniston Auto Trim and Body Shop, just up the hill off Quintard on Greenbrier Deer Road.
Family owned and operated for over 50 years, Miller Funeral Home is committed to providing families with the finest services for their loved ones, including our newest service, Aquamation. Aquamation is a gentle, respectful, and eco-friendly alternative to flame cremation. Miller Funeral Home is the only facility in the state of Alabama that offers the Aquamation service. Call us or visit our website today to learn more about how we can serve you and your loved ones.
And welcome back to Struts here in Oxford tonight, the Tuesday Coaches Show on the Friday Night Network. Well, the weather for Friday is a moving dart, and between the last couple of interview segments, Joe's got an update for us.
Yeah, well, I was just talking to Michael Easley, and he said that Cleveland County and Moody have moved to Thursday. That's at Moody. And he said he and Bill at Talladega are having some talks right now about possibly moving their game to Thursday. I've texted all the coaches in Calhoun County, and all of them say to this point no or not yet. And Pleasant Valley, it's their homecoming. They said they're going to decide in the morning.
Yeah, I would think if you could wait till tomorrow by lunchtime, you about got to do it by lunchtime tomorrow, don't you?
Yeah,
you would think, especially if you're going to move to Thursday. But anyway. All right, let me take care of one more piece of business before we get going with Dexter. We brought the FNN belt again this week. Here it is, the battle for the belt. And, of course, you know that this is final now. The voting is complete, and the fans have spoken. And we will be in mid-October at Darnell Wilson Field in Glencoe when Ohatchee faces the Glencoe Yellow Jackets and new coach Scott Martin. And the winner will put the trophy belt in their case, that strap over their shoulder, and that's coming up. Our first Battle for the Belt game will be in, I believe it's October the 14th? Does that sound right? Something like that. Coming up from Wilson Darnell Field, it's Glencoe, the Battle for the Belt, and congratulations to Ohatchee and Glencoe. Those two teams will tussle it out for the title. That's pretty good, isn't it? Tussle it out for the title.
Well, the alliteration plus, a tussle should have a belt.
Yes, I agree. All right. What the heck is Dex Preps?
Well, Dex Preps, I help prospects with exposure. I have football camps. We send the information out to college coaches to try to put a lot of kids on the radars of college coaches.
So how do you go about doing that?
For me, I send film out on Twitter, email, Facebook, text messages. Really, the coaches I talk to, they tell me what they're looking for. Then if I have some kids in the area or even, nationwide, really,
right,
that fits the bill they're looking for, I send the information to the college coaches, send the film, the high school coach's phone number, grades, ACT scores, things of that nature.
So would you consider yourself a tool in a college coach's toolbox?
Yes, kind of, yeah. So, once.
How in the world did you get started doing this?
Actually, I started trying to help some kids at Wellborn.
Really?
Yeah, back in the day, my cousin, Kevin Mixon, he played at Wellborn.
Yep, remember him well.
Yeah, so I started just trying to help him, and before that, I helped the other couple of kids, Chauncey Goodman, from Wellborn.
Right, remember him?
Yeah, so it just started as a hobby, and it took off.
So, again, it's kind of, to me, I kind of qualify it as kind of like what we do. It's just in a different genre. You do this for the love of the kids in the game.
Yes, sir.
You don't do it for the money, that's for sure.
That's not it. No money. So I love doing it. So
if you see Dex at a game, you see him and the iPad. That's how you know Dex is there, right?
Yeah, my iPad. So my iPad is like
that
my
thing
security blanket.
It
is. Actually, it is. So.
See, he's usually wearing a mask, so you got to see that. You got to see the iPad. How many videos you got on that thing?
1,400 right now.
Wow.
So.
And how often do you have to delete, refresh?
After every game. So
really,
yeah. So.
Do you go to a game looking at a certain kid, or do you go looking for a diamond in the rough?
Both. So, like, if I go to, example, Anniston, I know they can have a lot of players.
Right.
But then if I go somewhere like Munford, they're going to have, a Sylvester Smith. But also, they have another player wow, who is that kid? So, my biggest joy is finding those diamond in the roughs. So, for me, if I can see a 5-star, a kid with no stars, I'm going to do my best to help, both kids the same.
Is it likely, Dexter, that you find a guy that's a potential 5-star that's not already on a coach's radar?
Not really. It's hard to find a 5-star that's not on a coach's radar.
Right.
But you will find certain kids that could be like a 3-star, maybe a 4-star, because I think the biggest misconception people have, if you're good, the coaches will find you. Even with social media, they're still going to miss on a couple of players. So
there's just so much clutter with all that.
It is. Like I said, another prime example is Dominic Thomas.
Right.
That was at Ohatchee. High school, he was a pretty good player. After high school, he continued to develop. And so, when we do rank, we would rank players for, another organization. And sometimes it's on potential. With Dominique, he just kept getting better and kept developing. And you see what happened. He's at Clemson with a scholarship offer.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, coming out of high school, nobody saw that as possible.
They didn't. It was like, they see him as a NAIA, maybe
right.
D2 type player. I mean, he was good. Don't get me wrong, he was good. But he just developed into a whole different level of player.
You saw the makings of Quadzilla back then, but he's Quadzilla now.
Yeah. So,
Dex, do you have a list? I mean, do you have a list of kids that, these are your top 20, or do you do that?
I don't. I used to, but it created so much controversy. So I have my personal.
It's kind of like our Power Five.
It is. It is. So I have my own personal, but I just don't reveal it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Controversy.
Oh hell, we love it.
Of course, I follow you on social media, and I follow James Spann too. And I see the times when he gets a little bit exasperated with people.
Yeah.
I see some times when maybe the people have some expectations of you that maybe aren't fair.
Yeah, that's true.
And you respond to that.
I do. I mean, what I do is like I can't really get a kid an offer. But what I do is like get them exposure, which potentially can get them offer. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not a miracle, worker, but I do my best to help everybody. So it's stressful sometimes.
You mentioned earlier the diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
Who, if you could point to a few success stories like that around here in recent years, who would you point to? Besides Dominique.
Besides Dominique, let me see. Gosh, it's a kid out of Lincoln named Trey Garrett. A lot of people didn't know. Mm-hmm. To me, he was a really good player coming out of high school, but he had some stuff going on. So now he's at a JUCO, and I think he has an opportunity to get, at least a Group of 5 offer, like a UAB, a Troy, someone like that. And believe it or not, people don't realize, like a LaDamian Webb, he's been through a lot. People don't realize. Remember, he won Mr. Alabama football in 2016. Mm-hmm. So he's had some stuff going on. So I think he's going to be a success story that people are going to be like, wow, what happened to LaDamian? He's going to shock a lot of people.
Dex, do you ever have a kid's mom or dad call you up and say, hey, will you sit down and talk with our son? Because he's got talent, but he needs some upbringing.
Yeah, I have. I've talked to, a lot of parents, their kids, about social media etiquette. Mm-hmm. That's one of the big things. Coaches, they look at all that stuff. It's like they said, what you are is what you tweet. So it's like a resume. So what you put out there, you can't take it back. So I talk to parents about that, make sure grades are, in order. ACT scores, they have to be registered with the NCAA. Clearinghouse, NCAA ID number, all that stuff. So I talk to parents about that. So,
do you do a lot to help them stay out of recruiting trouble?
I talk to them, but you can only tell them so much, and they're gonna do what they want to do. So,
right.
So, but you just hope maybe when you talk to them, it gets through to them.
You mentioned it's not the money, right?
It's not the money. Definitely not the money.
I feel your pain.
Yeah.
But is it a passion, or maybe even does it get into a ministry for you?
I say it's a ministry for me because everybody know I live for football. So I love it. I don't have any set hours. I'm probably on my iPad about 8 hours a day doing football stuff. So it's just like a job. So then if I'm not on my iPad, I'm on my computer. If I'm not on the computer, I'm on my cell phone.
Now, I know that you just kind of got hooked up with my buddy Bo Starkey.
Yeah.
And the guys at Average Joe, him and Reggie and that group.
Yeah.
And
those are my guys.
They are some great people, and their hearts are in the right place. And that's what I like about Bo and Reggie so much is, they're not in it for the money either.
No, they're not. So
they're all about promoting kids. How did that come about, and how do you hope to parlay that relationship into improving what you do?
I first met them at a GSU. Remember they used to have the spring games at GSU? Mm-hmm. I think about 3 or 4 years ago. So we just kind of developed that working relationship. I would tweet stuff, they would retweet it, and vice versa. And so we just sit down and talk one day. He said, Dex, we need to do this collab. We could do some really good things. And so that's how that came about. So,
right.
What's we mentioned people coming at you.
Yeah.
How often do you maybe hear from people that say, hey, our kid made it and you were a help?
It's a lot. I mean, I hear it all the time. I even hear like the older guys that's a little younger than me. They say, man, we wish we had someone around when we played like you to help us, you know, just kind of, you know, like help us, you know, put the information out right to the coaches, how to send film, how to make film, just kind of promote them in a sense, you know, to the right colleges. I try my best to, like, look at a kid's skill set. So, obviously, I'm not going to send a kid like 5'5", 160 to a coach at Alabama, even if he can play. He's going to be small like a Faulkner, Birmingham Southern. So I try my best to find a skill set and a college that matches the kid.
In no particular order, throw us some names around that are guys that you like that maybe we don't know about. I mean, we all know about the Cam Sandlins and the McElderys and Sylvester and, you know, the guys that are pretty much already in place. Who are the guys that Joe and I are going to be writing and showing the next 2 or 3 years?
It's a kid out of Munford named Tank. He's really good. I can't remember his last name right now, but his name is Tank. I think he's going to be really good. He's a 24 kid. Jaden Dobbins from Anniston. He's going to be a really good kid. He's a 25 kid. Another kid from Anniston, 2 kids from Anniston is going to be really good. Grayshawn Swain, he's a 25 defensive end. 2026 defensive end, Hezekiah Harris. They both have SEC offers right now.
Wow.
And also, even though this kid is like a 24 kid, I think it's the kid out of Sachs that I like. I run back Dorian Walker. Just remember his name. I think he's going to be a pretty good running back.
Are you surprised, or maybe you have a list of names, but it seems to me we're not hearing the star power out of Oxford that we've been used to lately.
Yeah, that's true. They have a couple of good players. They have a kid named Josiah Kimbrough. I think he's a next-level player. He's a 23 kid. Of course, you know about Robinson. He's pretty good. Committed to Auburn in baseball. I don't know much about the quarterback yet, but I'm hearing good things about him, Mim. So, but I just think, you know, sometimes you just have like a shift sometimes. You know, like Oxford was the school in the county for so long. And I think kind of Anderson's kind of that recruiting title right now as far as, you know, top prospects right now.
If there were still Fagans there right now, we'd probably be talking a lot about Oxford, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would. Yeah. So.
And the word is that New Boys might be the best of them all.
Yeah, he is. He is, man. He's legit. So he's legit. I actually talked to Antoine Fagans senior a lot. So and New Boy is going to be that guy.
I think he does a lot for kids, and I like Mr. Fagans a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know him on a personal level as much as I'd like to.
Yeah.
But what I know, I like.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He has a lot of passion for the game. So.
Dex, there was another player, a younger player that I wanted to ask you about who's kind of new to the scene this year, but Piedmont has a 6'3" wide receiver who's stepping in, Ish Bethel. Have you had a chance to look at him yet?
I haven't looked at him yet, so I haven't talked to Coach Smith yet about him. So
okay, he had a big night Friday night. Of course, he's just starting to come online. But he was a good athlete in basketball, and I just wondered if you'd had a chance to see him yet.
I haven't seen him yet, but I'm sure Coach Smith will hit me up with Coach Blanchard. And actually, one of the coaches up there, Patrick Walker, his mom used to drive my school bus when I was in elementary school. So that's how old we are now. So,
you know, I am just amazed that Jack Haynes is not going somewhere to play football. I mean, I know he's short.
Yeah.
But there's got to be, a Sanford or something like that where he fits in.
Yeah.
That's a good school.
I tell coaches and players all the time, it only takes that one school to like a kid, and sometimes it just takes a minute to find that school.
Because, I mean, Coach Smith just thinks the world's set over him.
Yeah,
and I mean, obviously he's going to graduate with some hefty state records.
Yeah, one of the best
ever.
Ever in the whole state of Alabama. And that's saying a lot because we had a lot of good football players to come through here. So I think it's just going to take that one school to take a chance on him, and I don't think they'll be sorry if they take a chance on him.
He's definitely a competitor. All right. Well, Dex, how can people kind of follow you and keep up with what you do and know a little bit more about what you got your eyes on?
I'm on Twitter at Dex Preps. You can find me on Facebook, Dexter Tolbert. I don't really do Instagram a lot, but I'm mostly a Twitter guy, and just follow my Twitter page at Dex Preps, and you can see all the stuff I do.
All right. Well, listen, thanks for coming out, and
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoyed your dinner, and maybe we can get you back here sometime.
All right, thank you.
All right.
All right, thanks.
Dexter Tolbert joins us talking the kids in the state and right around the Calhoun County area that are going to be household names here over the next few years. It's all about recruiting and prospecting and getting that video out there, right?
Yes, sir.
I keep thinking, had there been a Dexter around, I wonder what would have happened for me.
I'm not even going to touch that. We're going to take a break on that one. We'll be right back to preview the games coming up this week and what we have our eyes on. James Reed joins us when we continue here from Struts on the Friday Night Network.
The tire, arguably the most important part of a car. Without it, we could not stop, we could not go, we couldn't drive at all. They come in all sizes, brands, treads, prices, and ratings. How do you know which is the right tire for you? Thankfully, there's Cobb Automotive, and they have been answering this question since 1981. With a large selection of brands and sizes in stock, you are sure to get the right tire for the right price. Cobb Automotive, located on Highway 21 across from Walmart in Oxford, and 2001 Quintard Avenue in Anniston.
Serving Calhoun County for over 30 years, Crawford Office Supply offers selection, convenience, and low prices. Choose from a wide variety of office furnishings featured in their huge showroom. With savings of 50 to 70% off scratch and dent items. You'll find it all from pens and paper to janitorial supplies at Crawford Office Supply, including on-site printing, all backed up by unmatched personal service and free delivery to local business. Crawford Office Supply, 301 South Layton Avenue in Anniston. Remember, buy local, it matters.
In Alabama, school spirit is in the air on Friday nights. At Farmers and Merchants Bank, we're giving our customers the opportunity to show their school spirit every day with our new Spirit debit card. We've designed a unique card for every Calhoun County school that includes the school's logo. So every time you use the card, you're showing your school spirit. Come in and get your school spirit debit card today. We've got spirit at FNN Bank. Service, solutions, and strength. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to Struts Tuesday night FNN Coaches Show. Jim Jacobs rejoined now by James Hardy and, of course, Joe Medley from the Anniston Star on my immediate right. It's that time of the night, guys, to start talking about the games that really we think are going to matter on Friday, and I think we've got to start with Alexandria at Lincoln. That's a big region matchup for both those teams, both of them coming off a loss this past Friday night in region play, and I think that both of them have got to be looking at it like this is kind of a must-win if we want to be in the playoff conversation.
Yeah, I think Moody has identified themselves as the favorite in that region, and then maybe you think of Leeds next. So there's probably three other teams that are going for those other two spots at this point, and Alexandria. We talked earlier. He's going to find a way, and it's just about Todd time.
Yep, it's coming up.
And fellas, as far as Matt Zediker, especially after their embarrassing performance up at Southside last week, if you want to test the manhood of your team, this is the perfect week to do it if you're Coach Matt Zediker, as far as against an always physical, always a gritty, always tough team in Alexandria.
Yeah, Valley Cubs aren't going to do a lot to beat themselves.
No.
They're just too well coached. All right, let's get to Jacksonville and Anniston, guys. That's next here on my list. I think we know what we're talking about. We're looking at maybe a sloppy track that will affect, obviously, Jacksonville, I think, more than Anniston. But, this is a big ball game.
It is, and you're going to see quite an array of skill and athletes on the field. And there's a lot of kind of behind-the-scenes motivation in this game. This was one of the games that Anniston had to forfeit last year, and I think there's some kind of leftover feelings from that. And that was voiced at Calhoun County Quarterback Club Media Day, and so we'll see how that all plays out.
You mentioned that, Joe, as far as Anniston hosting Jacksonville, wanting a little bit of revenge from last year as far as the circumstances from the 2021 season. Going to see a lot of talent, but I'm interested as far as both of these coaches, Rico White for Anniston and Clint Smith for Jacksonville, how they prepare their teams leading up to Friday, and who goes into that game the most prepared for this week's game.
A lot of time, guys, coaches will tell you the coach that can get their team to come down before the start of the game and kind of start on an even keel and not on that super high you can get sometimes when you got big games like this, can generally get out of the gate quicker and have a good night.
Yeah, and in Anniston, if they were looking ahead, it would have shown last week, which it didn't. 55-7 said they were not looking ahead. Jacksonville obviously has a lot of motivation because they lost to Handley last week. I think they would love to play the first round at home, so this is a big game for them.
And if you're Anniston, like you just mentioned, this is a huge game as far as if you can win this game, you're putting yourself in almost a guaranteed, not guaranteed, but almost guaranteed that you can host the first round game.
Let's hit Ranburne and B.B. Comer real quick. This is a big region game. Comer, a lot of people talking about them, about being a team that can maybe go deep come November. Ranburne may be one of their biggest challenges this season.
Yeah, I saw Ranburne at the Piedmont passing camp, and of course they lost a lot of their skill from last year. They still have the big kid Carson Hall there, but it looks to me, just watching their scores, that they're starting to get their feel with their new guys, and of course B.B. Comer is, they've kind of become they were becoming what they are back when they were still in that 3A region with Piedmont and all those guys, and they're there now.
Another huge game in the state Friday night, guys, that's kind of flown under the radar a little bit is Cherokee County at Aniana. I mean, you got a team that was in the state title game last year. You got a team that a lot of people that know a lot about football seem to think might make it to the title game this year. Going to be some head knockings over at Aniana Friday night.
I tell you what, for Cherokee County, as impressive as their win at home a couple weeks ago that we were at against Piedmont, to be able to come back and dominate Good Hope like they did, equally as impressive. And this is another measuring stick game for Cherokee County going on the road at Aniana. That was a 4A championship game participant last year. This is one of those games, if Cherokee County can win on the road, Katie barred the door for them.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier how 4A South has 7 of the top 10 teams in the poll in 4A.
2 of them are right there.
2 of them. That's 2 of the 3 in 4A North.
Clay Chalkville at Pinson Valley. I think we find out Friday night if Clay Chalkville is as dominant as everybody seems to think they are.
Yeah, and that's a big stage game for a guy like Kamari McClellan, who transferred from Oxford and is now they're playing there at Clay Chalkville. So that'll be interesting to see how he does.
What can Cleburne County do at Moody?
Well, they can do it a night earlier than they were expecting, whatever that is.
That one's moved to Thursday. Make that note, folks.
And they did put 63 points up last week. They've got some skill. The Grin kid's pretty good, and so we may see some points on the board.
Saxe at Dadeville. I think this is a bigger game for Saxe than it is for Dadeville, but Saxe needs to pick up a region win on the road.
Yeah, and of course they scored over 40 points 2 out of 3 games this year. They had the one game against Sylvania that where they were not
just kind of stumbled.
I'm not sure what happened there. That was on the road, but somebody's going to have to tell me Saxe can't do it until I'm going to have to see it before I believe it.
All right, Donahoe at Wadley. That's Wadley upset Spring Garden this past week. I don't know that we could call it an upset, but that's a team that went deep last year, and they go up to Spring Garden and shut them out 9-0, and now what can Donahoe do with the Bulldogs?
Well, Wadley. They lost 2,000-yard rushers from last year.
Right.
So they were another team that had a lot of young skill that had to find itself. And it didn't necessarily find itself on the offensive end against Spring Garden. The points they scored in that game were kind of by hook and crook.
Isn't this Wadley's first home game of the season this week?
I'm not sure about that. I know they opened up against 2 2A teams.
All right, well, we're getting the wrap-up from the production desk over here. Munford at Talladega, guys. Big region game for both of them. More so for Munford, I think, than Talladega.
Based on everything we've seen so far, you have to think Munford in that one. Talladega looks like they've got to build, and Bill Smith has some work to do there.
And can Plainview do anything at Piedmont Friday night?
At Piedmont, tough assignment, my friend.
I think Steve got it fixed last week.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, well, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us this week. Of course, Friday night we are on the road to Anniston, to Lot Mosby for Jacksonville and Anniston. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. Countdown to kickoff gets underway at 6:30. For my partners, James Hardy, for my friend Joe Medley, and, of course, for Jake and Kirby behind the scenes. Good night from Struts in Oxford on the Friday Night Network.